Now consider this, relevance is an easy word to say but a difficult word to be. In a recent finding, brand consultants Yellowwood say marketers spend too much time looking to other markets to see what's new and exciting. Well, I'd like to know how relevant that offshore trend is to local brands. Two guests with us today from Yellowwood, David Blyth and Nicole Zetler. To both of you, a very warm welcome. David, to you first of all, are you suggesting that marketers shouldn't look overseas at all, or are they placing too much emphasis on what they see overseas?
Not that they shouldn't look overseas, Jeremy. I think it's really important that we are very aware of what's going on in other markets, and that we absorb it and we use it appropriately. But we think that people jump far too quickly to looking to trends to solve problems rather than understanding the local context first. And we think context is the really critical point to that's the key that unlocks relevance.
But Nicole, many marketers say we live in a global village. What is good in Venezuela is also good in South Africa.
Yeah, well, essentially, relevance is knowing your market better than anyone else. And if you know your market better than anyone else, you can innovate better, you can design your products better, and so forth. And there's so few marketers actually getting relevance right. If we look at just some of the statistics, over two-thirds of the market have said that they would consider ending a brand relationship or have ended a brand relationship if it wasn't relevant. So that just shows how important relevance is.
Is there a uniquely way in which brands need to be relevant in the South African context? It's a tough one, I know. I mean, is there something that they've specifically got to be looking for?
Yeah, well, what you have to look for is how the local markets consume the product. What are the cultural nuances that you have to tap into? If we look at Koo, for example, a couple of years back, they launched their Jealous Down campaign. Obviously, I wasn't the target market when I first saw it. I thought, geez, wow, this looks interesting.
Is there a typo there somewhere?
Yeah, I thought, like, well, what does this actually mean? And when I actually went to my colleagues and spoke about it, I said, what is this all about? And just to see how excited they got to see this relevant, lingo being used in above the line campaigns.
Right. David Blyth, back to you. Truth, you say, is incredibly important. You say this: be yourself in every way. We are a nation still scarred by a history of untruths. And you list Mr. Price, the big retailer, as an example there.
Well, just a really good example of a brand that's not trying to be something that it's not. It's not projecting itself. It's not attempting to overplease or overspend, for that matter. It's just being who it is. And it's a slightly unfair example because its name says exactly what it is and what offer it has. So, but it really does make the point very clearly that that they get on with the job of being who they are. At the very heart of it, the psychology of the brand is really important. It gets itself.
We also are a nation of entrepreneurs, and one particular example is Cafe Vida, but you also make the point in that particular sphere we still feel disempowered. Make the connection between disempowerment, entrepreneurship, and how Cafe Vida, the brand, is getting that right.
Yes, I think that's a really good example of a brand that has built itself or constructed its entire proposition and business model in a way that is empowering. And the word empowering is such a loaded word in the South African context. It's got real, it's part of our lexicon. And they've built their entire business around making sure, firstly, that their staff own the brand message. Their staff actually have a role to play in delivering it and can do it in, with their own little twist and their own little uniqueness. So it comes across as really sincere, really itself, and also the people are a part of it. There's participation in it. Yeah.
What all of these brands have in common, I would imagine, Nicole, is something. It's a three-pronged approach.
Yeah.
LLC: listen, learn, and connect. First of all, listen. Listen to what?
It's about listening to the market. It's actually getting out there. As a great man once said, a desk is a very dangerous place from which to view the world. And if you get out there, you would see that your brand takes on, new context in these markets. People speak of it differently. If we use sunlight as an example, it has a number of alternative uses, and unless you get out in the market, you wouldn't know what these uses are. Anything from, being used as a deodorant to a constipation reliever to relieving skin problems. Getting out there is essentially what it takes to listen.
And often marketers who are sitting in the north of Johannesburg are perhaps reluctant to fan out to other places, and therein lies the problem.
Absolutely. Often when we go on these so-called immersion sessions, you tend to go on almost like a guided tour in a Mercedes Vito bus, and you land up having lunch on Vilakazi Street in Soweto, and that's more of a tour than anything else.
It's a theme park experience.
Exactly.
It's not an authentic experience.
Exactly. It has to be authentic. You have to go out there in an unobtrusive way.
The other one, which I also like, David Blyth, the nature of brand leadership has shifted from bought leadership to thought leadership. Explain that, and again, you believe that the financial services brand FNB is getting it right in that connection.
Yes. Unfortunately, around us every day, we see loads of kind of presence communication, and just looking at stadiums, be they football stadiums or cricket stadiums, there is an immense amount of spend from big corporate South Africa on presence, just being there. And we think...
Slap a billboard,
exactly,
tick the box, move on, host a lunch.
Exactly. In today's day and age, I mean, imagine, we just think that brands have a role to play in social good. And just being present or just rocking up to the party is not good enough. I mean, you could do a lot more with that money to perhaps help people, perhaps guide people, perhaps do a lot more than just showing up. And that's why we say thought leadership needs to shift to thought leadership. How can you convey in your messaging, in your communication, something which is helpful to people, makes them feel more optimistic about the future?
You raise all of these interesting points, so this is the final question to you. Do you have any belief whatsoever that marketers are actually going to engage with a study like that, or do you think the status quo inevitably is going to prevail?
No, I think that, we've had a good reaction, Jeremy, to be frank. We had really good attendance at the event that we ran, and we had very good correspondence from clients after the event. There is a lot of conversation going on around these topics. I agree. I think that there is the kind of natural position that people will slip back into kind of apathy and marketing, relevance becoming this wallpaper word, which is why we want to raise it, because we think there is so much power in getting relevance right that we're missing such a basic marketing trick.
It's up to agencies like yours to keep on preaching the gospel. The study is called How to Know More About Your Market Than Anyone Else, the Guide to Relevance. The agency is Yellowwood. Folks, thank you very much indeed. Appreciate the insight. We're going to end the program this week with our regular look at new advertising work, and this ad for Coca-Cola, and all part of the beverage's global commitment to fight obesity and a sedentary lifestyle.
Hey, kid. Come here. Come on, sit down. I want to tell you something. Do you know who we are? We are the real power. You'll find us in all the major decision-making centers. For centuries, we've been controlling you. At work, when you're at home, when you go out, we control everything. We are chairs. And now it's time to conquer you.
And what if we stand up?
If you stand up, we lose.
Well, it's compelling, it's absorbing and real call to action stuff. The question, of course, is it going to find any resonance and make a difference, or will we continue just to supersize? We're going to leave you with a print campaign this week that's caused a major fuss in India. It's for the Ford brand. The payoff line is "Leave your worries at home," and it features celebrities like the Kardashians, Paris Hilton and Michael Schumacher. Are you as offended as the others? Your views on these ads and the rest of the programme on our Facebook page. And until next time, goodbye to you. Thank you as always for watching.